All right, guys, we're gonna do another camera track here. So let's get into it. First thing first, what I'm gonna do to help a lot of you beginners, I'm just gonna reset my scene to the default Octane Blender setup. Boom, just like that. And then I will come in here, change my render kernel to path tracing kernel. It's not really needed at the moment, but there we go. Okay, go ahead and hit in here, and then if I hit Z, all right, there we go. We're in Octane. Now, it's not necessarily needed for camera tracking, but I just wanted to set that up now. So I'm gonna go over to VFX and I'm gonna go over to motion tracking. And I've already exported my file out of Blender here as a basically video, 1080 vertical video. So I'm gonna load that in. Here are all my files, and I already converted them to PNGs from video just to help with performance. First thing first, it looks like crap. So let's change our color space over because it's set up for Octane. And we're gonna just change that from color management, from raw to standard. And there it is, the video looks perfectly fine now. And then I'm gonna go to set scene frames, prefetch. All right, we have 261 frames. Quickly just play the video to see how things are. This is like what I'm trying to track here. And kind of seeing like there is a lot of moosh. There's some up and down, left and right. We got a little bit of parallax. So we got a little bit of everything in this one here. So I'm gonna go back to the beginning. I'm gonna set my to blurry footage, just something I do. I'm gonna go to affine, normalize, track settings, correlation 0.9, and that's it. And I'm gonna zoom in here, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna drop a track here, press Control T, let it track. It gets all the way through. That's nice. Let's go opposite. I'm gonna go Shift Control T. That gets all the way through. I'm drop another one here. If you don't want to do shortcut, it's this button right here. And drop another one. Actually, we'll open this window up here. That one's a little bit too far off. We can line that up a little bit better and open that up a little bit more and track backwards. We need a minimum of 8 tracks. I'm gonna do another track here, trying to get them spread out evenly, or not evenly, but getting a good enough. The more data you give it, the better. You don't want to have them all clumped into one area. Technically, in this video, they are clumped in one area, but you'll see what I mean. Did we track that one? No, we didn't. Control. There we go. Let's do one here. Same thing, rinse, repeat, and track backwards. And you see why I like using these little tracker markers. They work really well. The tracks stick to them very nicely. I basically just printed these. I went to Google, said, show me pictures of tracker markers, printed them out, and put them on little cardboard pieces, and I put tape on them, and then there it is. Made me some tracker markers. Let's see, tracking backwards. We got 7 tracks. We're almost at the minimum. We need at least 8. And I'm gonna go ahead here, track this one. I'm gonna put one here in the middle, track backwards. Let's put one up here at the top. Like sometimes I scale them out, but sometimes I don't. It just depends. The bigger they are, the longer they take to track. Also, because you're giving it more data to analyze. Up, we're already on the forward. Let's go backwards. That. Let's get one down here. Track backwards. And that's a pretty good even mix, right? I wish we had an X on this one here. We don't. So I'm just gonna actually probably coming down here to the corner and see if that's gonna help. Something like that. Just giving it a good pattern to recognize there. And track forward. That looked, like I said, on there pretty solid. Okay. How many tracks we got? We got 12 tracks. I don't know. We'll see how if we can get away with this. All right, we're all ready to go. I'm gonna come over to solve. And now what we need to do also, I'm gonna close this panel here. I don't need that for a moment. Is get I want focal length, optical radio. I want all of those keyframes. I just typically do them myself now these days because like sometimes you can tick automatic keyframes, but for some reason, basically you want to find the most parallax and tell it to use this area for using to try to, calculate everything. So it's kind of hit or miss. So I just kind of move around and this value will be changing quite a lot until we get something good. I'm gonna go 25 to 42. Solve. Right off the back, that nailed it. Like normally it doesn't work like that, but I'm just gonna take what we got. Right, 25 to 42 came out nice, and we gave us an error of of 0.300, which is really great. So like, I'm done. I'm not going to fight it. Here's our blue line. The flatter this blue line is represents this number here. So if this was ultimately straight, it will be 0.000, which is pretty much almost impossible. So from here, let's go ahead. And what I'm going to do is jump back into the layout. And I'm going to delete this default camera that's here. Actually, no, I could keep that camera here. That's fine. Let's just come over here to camera constraints. We're going to add in a camera solver. And then what we'll do is we'll jump into that camera and we can see there the data. It's all wonky, right? But anyways, let's jump back over to motion tracking tab. And then I'm going to go over to solve. And then I'm going to come here to geometry. Not geometry. Down here to orientation. Select this one here. And I want to say this is the origin. So make sure we're in the camera view on that. This bottom graph, we can bring that down here. We don't really need to see that right now. And I want to see this more importantly up here on top. All right. And then what I want to do also is I'm going to delete this cube for now because it's just going to get in the way. I want to do my floor plan or floor plane. I'm just going to need to select 3 points and I'm going to say floor. So, okay, that gets us in the general part where we're at. Here is my Y. We're going up Y. We can change that easily. If I come over here and I say I want this to be my X, I'm going to say X. And you can see what it does there. But for now, it's pretty good till we get it oriented. Then what we need to do is distance. The distance between here and here is 3 inches. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to select this one, 3 inches. And this distance here is always in meters. So what I'll do is come over here, 3 inches equals 0.762. 762, come in here, 0.762, and hit scale. All right, that scales that down. Now, since we're working with vertical video, we need to change our camera orientation. So we'll come back over here to camera, click on camera, and then I need to scroll all the way up here to camera and change this. Oh, it's already set to horizontal. That's good. Make sure you do that. And then I want to add the background in. So we'll come over here, set background, and there is my background. And it's not going to play that good. So what I like to do is take this and make a proxy file, and that's super easy to do. Press N here. We'll come back over here to footage, tab this down. We're going to click on proxy. You can build whatever you want, 100% original. I'm going to use the original. I'm going to build a 25% one of that. Hit build. I already did it. And I'm going to load that up over here. So if I jump back into my camera background right here, I already have that footage. So I'm just going to swap it out. And I'll come over here, open this up. Oh, it's not there anymore. So I guess I'll be making a new one. So no biggie. Come in here. I want 25. Actually, I'm going to go 50%. 25 is a little bit too grainy for me. I'm going to go 50% of the original build proxy. And you can see down here at the bottom, it's going to quickly build the proxy. That's good. Jump back over here to our camera. And then we'll come here where it says render undistorted, where we rendered a regular one. We didn't do the undistorted. So I'm going to change this to 25. We won't see anything until you tick this. And now you should just be able to see it. And there is our track. That's looking nice. This was like literally easy. I didn't have to fight with it. What I'm finding out is that pattern or the parallax, playing with that, shifting that pattern around will really help you dial it in. And setting it to auto, for some reason, I have to always fight with Blender to get that to right. So that's why I'm sharing this video. I'm going to probably always continue to play with that pattern more than anything. So that's sitting there really tight, guys. Now, if we come back over here to our footage, let's go ahead and make that 100%. And what else I like to do here is I'm just going to jump back into the layout tab, right? And let's do a little bit of housekeeping here on the nodes. And now we got the scale and everything set, but you can clearly see here it's not showing up our origin. So I'm going to go back over here to motion tracking, click on this again, set this as my orientation, there we go. And then we should be good to go. And set this one here on my X. There we go. Come back here to layout. Nice. Now what I want to do here is the grid is too big. What I want to do is come over here and I'll go to scale and I'll just scale this down. All right. I just go 0.762. No, that doesn't work good. I'm just going to scale this down. Something like that. All right. I want to use this whole grid to help me orientate this camera. So I'm going to come back here. Now, this is extremely important. Whenever you move the camera now, we need to make it be anchored to our origin point. So what I do is I come up here, go to 3D cursor, and now we're going to always move the camera. Anytime you're moving the camera, it needs to be in this mode here. So I'm just going to go rotate on the Z and just kind of get this to line up to something in the image here. Like I see, I'm lining that up off of those two there. I'll rotate on the X. And that might look kind of good there. Rotate on the Y. Okay, I was looking here on this bottom one here for the Y. And let's play that back. And I'm just watching the grid. Is it slipping a little bit? And if it starts to slip a little bit, what you can do is come into the focal length. Now, right now, it's giving us a 58.74 focal length. I think it's more orientation. I don't really see too much slipping, but let's add something on here. So now what we need to do is I want to put some geometry on here to test it. So what I like to do is jump back over to motion tracking, and we're going to take some of the geometry that we have here. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to come over to, and what I'm going to do is come over to geometry. I'm going to go 3D markers to mesh. Once you click on that, nothing really happens until we jump back into our viewport layout. Now you see here we have tracks. Click on tracks, edit vertices, and now you see we got vertices. When I press this F, and then we fill it. So now we've got geometry here built off of the tracker markers, because those tracker markers are solid, right? And now if I hit play, like, come on, guys, that thing is sticking nicely, right? And that looks great. I'm really happy with that. If it was slipping a little bit, I would slightly change my focal length up to see if it's moving. If it gets worse, then go down, and then just find a happy medium until playing with the focal length. But I don't need to do that in this case because this one's sitting here fairly tight. So what I would do now is just basically build out my geometry. And one thing I like to been recently doing is, for example, let's come back here and tab in here. I'm just going to scale this up. And now what we do is just kind of line this up in here properly, right? And make sure when you're moving in this mode, you need to stay constrained to your axes. Like you need to stay constrained to your Y and your X. Okay. So here I want to move this. I'm going to go G Shift Z, excluding the Z. So it won't be moving back and forth. It's just going to be moving to the X and Y. So, and then I'm going to kind of just get this like here. Same thing again. Kind of line that up there. Kind of line that up. Line that up there. And then what I'm going to do from here, let's go ahead and play it just to see. We can make some adjustments. Ooh, see, it's off really bad there. So maybe come here. GX, it's going to compensate for that a little bit. Hold and shift. Same thing here. Okay, that's looking really bad. So now this is telling me, it looks like to me we might be sitting too high. So what I'm also going to do here next is we could possibly, let's tab out of this. Let's go back to the camera. Make sure your camera is you have the pivot around 3D cursor. And I'm going to go GZ. And I'm just going to bring this like down a little bit and see what that looks like. This is where you're going to have to go back and forth with this here right now. Like this portion, you're going to have to go back and forth with it. Let's tab back into, let's click on here, tab back into edit mode, vertices, G, X, Shift, Z. Oops, I did something wrong there. Oh, did something wrong there. G, X, Shift, Z. There we go. Kind of just get this here. Play. Okay, that's looking better. This corner is looking a lot more stable. This corner up here, these corners up here. I'll start focusing on this corner up here. Yeah. I think this one here can probably maybe come in a little bit. This guy here. Oop, I'm both selected. Let's grab both of these guys here. Maybe kind of move it up a little bit. Okay, that's actually looking really nice. Hold that down a little bit. These guys here, let's grab both of these guys here and just kind of scoot them over there. That looks like that one frame I probably could have went up a little bit. But anyways, okay. So what I would do from here is select all of these, press Control Shift B vertex bevel, and just put a, well, I mean, ultimately, if you were going to build this geometry, this is kind of what you would need to do, right? Kind of do that tab out of there. I'm going to slide this GX over just a tad bit here. It looks like they're right there. Let me back up here a couple frames. GX, kind of slide. Oh, no, not GX, not Z. Kind of compensate it just a little bit. Oh, right there. Let's back up a little bit. Let's go GY. Split the difference like a little bit there. Split the difference here. GY. Just a little bit. I probably can just scale it, but all right, that's pretty close. And if anything, that part's bugging me. So what I'm going to do here in this case, come to vertices, select all these guys. I'm going to go GY and just pull them down a little bit more. All right, now that we've got this piece in a good solid position, now what I want to do is make a holdout. So let's click on this first. Let me take my look at my face oriented. Ooh, this is, we need to flip this. Go into edit mode, select all, Alt in, flip normals. Okay. Then what I want to do, now we got the normals correct, grab this, go into edit mode. I want to go extrude scale. And then what I'm going to do is just pull it down GZ a little bit there, just so it's not on top of each other on itself like that. Then I'm going to come in here, go to face mode and C, and I'm going to just select this outer ring like that. And then I'm going to press P, separate by selection. So we've got this inner ring and this outer ring. This is going to be our holdout here. And depending on how deep your box goes, you might need to go bigger on this outer ring. So I probably should have went bigger. For example, if I take this box here and we extrude it, come here, face, extrude, like something like that. You want to make sure you extrude it enough where it stays behind this holdout we made here. So I'm gonna go something like that. Right. And then what I'll do is come here, select this face, X, delete this face. And now we've got an inside box here, which you can't really see. Let's turn on some cavity here. And it still looks like it might be closed. Yeah, I think it's still closed. Tap in the face mode. Yep, it's still closed. Take this face and delete face. There we go. Now we can see the inside of it. So there it is. Now see, we can see a little bit of it poking out right there and right there. That means it's too deep. Or you need to make your holdout wider. And now let's come over to change back to our render settings. So I'm going to come back to render, change my color space back to raw. Come into my shading, jump in the viewport here, turn that on. And we've got kind of like our general daylight, right? So I'll come in here and just going to kill that, add a new one here, add in a RGB image, plug that into there, load in an HDRI. throw that in. Come in here, add in a UV transform, and this is just going to allow us to move our projection around, right? So we need the light the way we want it. And then we come over here to settings, render, scroll this down, 524 samples. I'm gonna cut that down to like 12, right, for now. And then I'm gonna take my GI clamp, set that to 100 or 10, anything well besides a million. Then we're gonna go to alpha channel, make sure you hit that. Boom, now we can see our video. Don't worry, the video is not in the proper color space. That's why it looks like that. Sweet. And there it is. And now what you would need to do is kind of play with the lighting. And I know for this shot here, the lighting was more to the left. So quickly playing back here, you can see my main light source. There's a window to my left here. So I know that that's where the light should be really coming from. Don't worry about these edges. That's just because of Octane works in a more professional setup where it's not pre-multiplying the alpha yet. Don't worry, when you export out, if you export out PNGs, it will be multiplied. If you export EXRs, it won't. And then once you bring it into like DaVinci Resolve or wherever you do your compositing, you can re-multiply it there. But if you don't want to do all that, just export it out as a PNG. Let's jump back to our materials down here. Let's put a material on this first. And then I'm just going to quickly come in here, throw like let's go GGX. I'm just going to kind of throw this gray material on here for a while, just something like that. 50% gray, give it some roughness. Boom. This area, we want it to be a holdout. We don't want it to be seen. There's several ways we can do that here. We could also just add in a null material. So if I come in here, delete this, come in here, go null material, plug that into there, and now it's not going to show up, right? We can do it like that. But again, now we're still seeing our problem here. We're revealing the box here, so that's not going to work in this case. So what I basically do, we'll click this piece here, come into, let me just put a default material around it for something. Come into render layer, say 2. I'm going to put that to render layer 2. And then I'm going to come back, and this is going to be on render layer 1. Come over here, activate render layers, Octane render layers, activate that. And now you can see, since we only see the active layer of 1, that's only showing 1. And if we go to reverse that, now we're only seeing the outside. So that's just the easiest way to do that, like that. So boom, now you can clearly see it's hiding behind there. And if we hit play, there it is. We're seeing just our little box inside there, that light on there, just like that. I'm going to put something in there just for the sake of that so we can get a little bit of more depth of what's happening inside there. Boom. There it is.